I will start now. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'll start off with introducing panel members, starting with Mr. Sanjay Pande. He's been in an. We'll start now. One second. Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry. So, Mr. Sanjay Pande has more than 30 years of experience in terms of Ministry of Tourism of India and been with Tourism of Rajasthan. He mainly is concerned with the marketing infrastructure of tourism and handling of monuments. And he has attended almost all major global travel marts, be it ITB, World Trade, World Travel Trade. And today, with our main topic of NFTs, the future of Indian tourism, I think he is a perfect person to comment and guide us in terms of what is his views in boosting tourism through the route of NFTs. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Praveen Kumar, he is CEO and founder Belfrics Group. Praveen Kumar has over 2 decades of experience in financial industry, and he is also a tech enthusiast. As an entrepreneur, he is one of few people who visualize the potential of blockchain technology and crypto. With that vision, he has built this empire, Belfrics Global, which is operational in over 10 countries today. Your absolute experience is going to add a lot of value to this whole discussion. Obviously, people will be waiting for your views and feedbacks in terms of how NFTs is changing the dynamics of each and every segment in every industry. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Satish Shekar, Chief Innovation Officer, Belfrics Group. Satish has over a decade experience as a consultant, as an entrepreneur. He joined Belfrics recently to support Praveen's vision of Belfrics globally. Satish, we welcome you as well. Satish. Yeah. I think we lost Satish. He's back. Yeah, he's back. He's back. So yeah, Satish is back with us. So let's start on with a couple of interesting questions in terms of how NFTs can be the future of Indian tourism, or in that matter, the overall tourism segment. Before that, Praveen, one important question for you is, can you maybe explain us in detail about what is an outlook of blockchain, future of NFTs? What's your take on that?
Thanks, Pujan, and it's a pleasure to be part of this particular session, especially the NFTs, which is the most, I should say, among the new age blockchain product. This is one of the most talked about product as of now. Millions of assets are being sold and bought, and various other industries are trying to tap into this particular segment. So it is going to be a pretty interesting session to discuss with, and that too with the tourism industry. We have always been a proponent of connecting the physical world with the digital world. So which were the project that we have been working on, we tried to initiate or bring in that particular process and connect to the real ecosystem. From a blockchain per se and the cryptocurrency per se, the market has grown to such a level which many people have not envisioned. In fact, people like me and many other people has been a vocal supporter for this particular technology since 2012, 2013 onwards. We have gone through many cycles, people calling this particular technology not sustainable, the assets that are being written onto this particular technology not viable, governments not able to accept these. So there has been many cycles that we have gone through in the past many years, I should say. Uh, from a $5 billion market cap as of last year, the market cap has even $3 trillion. I'm referring to the assets, the crypto assets, and the blockchain has steadily been increasing its, I should say, its use cases, and the acceptance to the market has been tremendously, encouraging, especially in the last 2-3 years. Institutional investors coming to the space, major enterprises, government organizations coming up with national blockchains, state blockchains. We talk about CBDCs, all these activities put together. The industry has moved leaps and bounds from where it was a few years before. So fantastic future for the technology, both from the innovation per se also, and also from a process efficiency per se. We are going to see a lot more connected innovations, I would say. When I say connected innovation, that's the combination of blockchain technology, IoT devices, and the AI all put together. We are going to see different processes that what we will be doing in the next couple of decades. I'm looking forward to take up this discussion further.
Thank you, Praveen. With this whole insight, I feel that there is a lot of opportunity in various segments. Before getting into the verticals of what segments can be captured by NFTs, Mr. Pande, I would like to ask you something. After pandemic, there has been a lot of disturbance in terms of the whole tourism industry. People have been very skeptical in terms of traveling. Can you give us some insight in terms of how tourism industry, in terms of revenues, have been impacted? And with such technology of NFTs, we all know that how rich India is in terms of heritage, art, architecture. If these monuments, heritage are converted into NFTs, how can it, or if you feel, can boost tourism sector in India?
Good evening to all of you. So this has been very interesting introduction by you and the previous speaker also about the gains that the technology can bring into the tourism sector. Now, as all of you know, that pandemic is starting from February, March 2020 and moving right up to few months back. So almost 2 years. So these 2 years have been, it is not a question of how much it has impacted. The fact is simple that tourism was almost 2.0. There was no movement at all. The flights were cancelled or flights were halted. The train, in fact, the entire transportation sector was at halt. And since no movement of people, so no tourism. So basically, it was almost to its lowest ebb during the last 2 years. Fortunately, although last year, in first few months, there were signs of recovery, but then sudden outbreak of another wave of pandemic brought it again to the halt. Now, since last 2-3 months, from February onwards, it is showing sign of revival, and a very sharp revival, almost a V-shaped recovery. And if the shadows of the pandemic are behind us, then there is no reason that why we will not go back to the 2019 levels, which was a full tourism year. Now, just to give a perspective, now tourism is a very exciting sector, and it is a very benevolent sector also in terms of its environmental concerns. So in 2019, India received about 11 million foreign tourist arrivals, 11 million foreign tourist arrivals, and 2,320 million domestic travelers crisscrossing the country. I repeat again, 2,320 domestic tourist arrivals against 10 million tourist arrivals, foreign tourist arrivals. Now, this 2,320 domestic tourist arrivals is in size even more than the about 1,200 total size of the foreign tourist arrivals moving in the world. So our size is domestic tourist arrival is almost double the size of the entire foreign tourist arrivals of the world. So this domestic tourism sector is now the very emerging sector. And in fact, in this opening of the pandemic, this domestic tourism has been the backbone of moving the tourism, because foreign tourists still the visas have been just allowed last month. So with no visas to foreign tourists, it is the domestic tourism which is driving. And in future, this will, as India's growth rate progress and people inhibitions to travel loosen up, then tourism is bound to move to new highs always. And in addition to this, India is a very rich country in terms of heritage, both tangible and intangible heritage. So while we have world-renowned monuments, World Heritage Sites, we have about 40 World Heritage Sites in the country already, and about 500 centrally protected monuments of Archaeological Survey of India, including the Great Taj. And talking about Rajasthan, even in Rajasthan, we have about 500 another protected monuments. And monuments and the religious sites are the two main attractions for the domestic tourists. So either they like to move to see the domestic tourists, or of course the religious, in terms of famous religion sites, the Char Dham Yatra or the Tirupati Balaji temple, or in Rajasthan, the famous Pushkar temple. So the religious is the main attraction. So all put together, and then in addition to our vibrant living traditions, the markets, people, ethnic dresses, costumes, and just the way of life of India attracts people tremendously. So given this scenario, and given the technology which we are now, emerging technology, if they combine together, so through technology, gains of tourism can be harnessed tremendously, because tourism in aftermath of the pandemic, people are now more keen to access all the facilities digitally rather than in a physical mode. So the technology, blockchain, these products, as you will reveal more about them, they will certainly help tourism drive in key sectors, not only increase the number, but give them more information, give them more tourism products to relish, and overall bring in more efficiency in the entire sector. This is my view about it.
Thank you, Mr. Pande. One quick question to you in terms of your brief detailing about the whole tourism sector. Can we see terms of the marketing or the fact that people would get more aware about the hidden heritage, art, architecture, when these sort of hidden things, what you like mentioned, there are 500 protected monuments, be it in India, be it in Rajasthan. When these monuments are converted into NFTs, which is a very strong point, can gauge us more awareness about these places, and people might get more excited about visiting them.
Of course, without doubt, because you see, at present, a person has to physically first visit the monument and then gather knowledge about it. Though now on YouTube there are some films, and our state tourism department also promotes virtual tours and that kind of technology, leverage that kind of technology. But the fact remains that to access these monuments first, and then you gather knowledge about them. Now, in this fast-moving world, and especially the youth and youngsters, they are very technology friendly. So if the right product is available to them beforehand or digitally, and they have easy access to them, my take on would be that they would get even more familiar with our rich monuments and rich heritage, and they would, in fact, these products, technological product, NFT especially, would encourage them to visit these monuments. So my take would be that if this information is disseminated to them through these innovative digital products like NFT, then we should see even a sharp movement of tourists across the country and more visits to the monuments. So it is just a question of the right design of the product, and there should be no reason why it should not take off tremendously.
Praveen, any take of yours on this?
Absolutely. As Mr. Sanjay said, the right mix of that particular offering, if that can be achieved, we can actually accelerate the process of tourism in a completely different way. So he mentioned about the domestic travelers surpassing the international travelers, right? So that shows the need of the current ecosystem. They would like to explore the monuments, regions, and art and culture. So what the NFTs and the blockchain technology brings in is that as of now, you have seen that digital art being created, being sold in millions of dollars. But there's much more to this. So you are going to see tangible assets that are connected to the NFTs. So he mentioned about the culture, the various unique sculptures. There are so many, rich culture that we are having, which we will be able to convert into NFTs. We will be able to give a virtual tool. Already multiple virtual tools are there, right? But when we combine this into the metaverse world and the NFT put together, a completely new, different tourism sector can be brought in, wherein which I will be able to physically, or rather virtually and physically combined together, will be able to experience that I am there in that particular region, and I will be able to even connect to the people who are the creators of those, I should say, the art that they are creating, or the sculpture that they are creating. I will be able to connect to them, and maybe we'll be able to transact to them also in the virtual world. So a completely new paradigm that what we will be creating over here. So the tourism board, the tourism ministry is understanding this particular technology and harnessing that in the right way will be the key for which tourism sector or which industry, I should say, which region will be overtaking the other region in terms of the virtual tourism I'm referring to. So whatever the revenue that what we are talking about in terms of physical tourism, I'm seeing such a scenario wherein which the virtual tourism will even surpass the physical tourism also in terms of the revenue. So this is actually an added revenue for the people in that particular region, who otherwise might not have got access to those kind of tourists who would be contributing to their work sitting from somewhere else. So it's a combination of both these aspects put together. We can definitely harness this. And another very, very important aspect about both the blockchain technology and the NFT space is that the capability of this particular segment to raise the capital, because capital is one of the core requirements for the industry. So if we are rightly positioning the solution very effectively, the industry will be able to raise pretty good amount of money, which will be needed, to protect these monuments, to enhance these regions, to go into the next level. So fantastic combination, as he rightly said, it's the right combination, right method that we need to adopt in order to bring this to the day-to-day business.
So on a lighter note, last week we had one US plane ticket NFT sold for $1 million. So I'm sure that Indian tourism is quite richer in terms of NFT being sold for a very higher value, which adds to what Praveen and like rightly Mr. Sanjay said, that the revenue part itself is huge. Even if we just consider our domestic travelers and love for these heritage properties just by domestic people, if it reaches out globally, which is very much possible through NFTs and blockchain technology, this is going to be something which everyone would look at.
And just from the size of that NFT market itself, so that the last year around $4.6 billion was the collective value that has been traded in NFT. And this particular year, in the first quarter itself, we have actually crossed 1 billion. So there's a massive potential that is coming in. So it depends upon us, to effectively take the pie of this particular segment, by understanding the system and effectively adopting it.
And also, I may add that we should take the first mover advantage also, because this is a very virgin concept at the moment. And certainly, if you can give some demonstration presentation to the state tourism boards about the way it is constructed and the way forward inherent in it, and how they can be participated in this whole scenario also. So that would be a great beginning for this product to develop and mature.
Mr. Sanjay, adding to your point, I would like to ask Mr. Satish that, except for the tourism sector, which are the other verticals, if government is getting involved in the same, which other sectors can they look at except for the tourism?
Thanks, Poojan. Sorry for this tech issues on and off of my video. Some internet issues here. So having said that, I was, listening to, Mr. Sanjay and Mr. Praveen talking more about tourism and about, blockchain. But one sector which I really think that NFTs will really flourish is the art sector. So, if you look at the art market globally, it is about, $53 billion year on year. But only in India, it is about $12 billion. But most of it, what is happening is there are art brokers and there are art traders who are buying, these ancient arts for a peanut money and trying to sell this for exorbitant money abroad. Only because there is no metadata validations, there is no one to evaluate it and other things. So one such, market where I think that NFTs will really flourish are ancient paintings. For instance, if you take the royal houses, of the Jaipur or the Mysore Palace, they have extensive paintings which is about 200 to 300 years old, and these are actually priceless. And when you try to auction it, I'm pretty sure it will outbid any kind of auction price which globally the NFT markets are trading. And that is one of the intent in Bell NFT, that we want to get these kind of art pieces, exclusive art pieces with a lot of metadata's backstory, and then try to give it out to the market for the digital world. And having said that, there are many other art forms like the mural arts, the crafts, and other things. So in the ancient days, if a king has to be called himself as a king, he is supposed to have 64 colors, and one such colors are these art, mural arts, crafts, and other things. So these are becoming obsolete. But through NFTs, if we can get them back to life, then the future generation will also know that these were already prevailing. So this is one of the sectors that we can look at. And apart from that, it could also be the sports sector, the music sector, and innovation is limitless when it comes to NFTs.
True. Thank you, Satish, for a brief insight about the same. I think, Mr. Pande, Rajasthan, when we specifically talk about Rajasthan, be it art, be it monuments, be it music, be it sport, I think Rajasthan is someone who's leading all the verticals.
Of course. Rajasthan is the leading tourism state in the country and has a unique position on the world tourism map also. And I often say that even if you close your eyes and blindly put your hand on the map of Rajasthan, anywhere in Rajasthan, you will definitely find a tourist place there. And region to region, places to place, district to district, the entire character of art, the food, culinary. In fact, he was talking about the art. I would say even the exciting features like food and culinary, they will also add even more value. Art is, of course, timeless and creation. So without doubt, Rajasthan has immense paintings, immense monuments, and all this can be added with this, as I was understanding the NFT concept. Definitely the reach would become very wide. The reach would not only become very wide, the speed at which the people will be able to access it would also be tremendous. And more importantly, the data and the entire configuration will always be with the person in question. So he can always refer to it, he can cross-check it, he can add more information to it, and all that would enable the physical movement also. And that is what we want, that people should move more and more, and technology should become the friend of the tourists.
So I also wanted to ask one question about the Pushkar fair which happens. So can you just throw some light on that, sir? How old is it, and what kind of cultural relevance it has?
You see, Pushkar fair has two dimensions. The first part is the traditional animal fair. So Pushkar fair was traditionally, from centuries back, was a animal fair wherein the people of the local area, adjoining areas to Pushkar, would bring their animals, specifically camels and all those, for trading during a particular month, that is just immediately after the Diwali. So in good old times, the first they would breed and bring, so there was trading to the, and adjoining to Pushkar Ghats, there on the landscape, there would lot of animal would come, and that would bring in. Gradually, as it moved up, so there was a lot of excitement around people. So especially foreigners, they all started coming in large number to visit that particular trading, the congregation of the animals, and the color it brings to the entire life. So in 1979, the tourism department started promoting this by way of Pushkar Festival, so which is now well known as a Pushkar Festival. So it is a 15-day long affair now. So during the first 7-8 days, the main thing is the animal fair, which is the traditional fair, and then subsequently to the animal fair, then there are now culture programs, culture fiesta, many more activities which tourism department has added to make it a colorful, vibrant event. And then, of course, is the sacred holy bath on the last 15th day in the Pushkar Lake. So that is all about Pushkar Festival. So this is all put together, the traditional animal fair, added to that the tourism dimension of more cultural events and bringing into cultural heritage. And then, of course, it has taken off very well and become a very popular festival. In fact, not only this, there are other festivals also, like the famous desert festival also, if you have heard about it. So all these festivals can also be leveraged through the technology that we are talking about now.
Again, we have come out through our discussions about one more addition to already things what you're talking about for the future. One last, yeah.
I was just thinking of even converting all those animals into NFTs and talking about it, sir.
Only mother, there are so many breeds of horses, camels, and animals available in not only in Rajasthan but across country as well. Well, they can certainly be leveraged, without doubt.
Absolutely. So definitely we'll be working on one demo for that one, for sure. We should be doing this. It will be a very interesting project to do that.
Yeah.
And also, see, we are working on this metaverse project also. So the Pushkar, the festival could be one event where we actually
it should be. It should be, because it is so well publicized all over the world. So it has an instant connect available with it.
Okay. So with that, we will be able to provide a demo for the metaverse, the NFTs, and the combination of how it can enhance the process. That will be great.
Perfect.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Praveen, one last question for you is how important is it for the regulators to make NFTs called as an asset?
See, any emerging technology, right, that is always exploited by the bad actors. So NFT is not different. The double whammy for NFT is that one, the NFT itself is anonymous in nature. People can simply go to multiple sites and convert their creations in NFTs, and then they can buy and sell. And the currencies or the medium that is used to buy these, again, are anonymous in nature. So there are two layer of anonymous, which makes it quite a risky, I should say, an asset class if it is not timely managed or timely regulated. Because the value can be inflated by bad actors being on both the sides, buyers and sellers, and they can create non-available values to that particular asset, and money can be laundered. wash trading can happen, and even to an extent, terrorist funding also can be, taken up through this particular means. So the government have to take their measures to understand this technology very well, because there is no point of sitting on the sides and to see that what other people are doing. So by doing so, we will lose our capability to harness the technology at the right space or at the right time. So it is imperative that they understand this technology, and it is not easy because it's quite complex in nature, because it is borderless. We need to identify that where the token is minted, where it is marketed, who the people are behind those NFTs, and who holds the rights, because there are legal challenges that would come in, especially when we come up when we talk about a tangible asset or tangible NFT. You have a physical asset which is connected to a virtual asset, right? So what if the virtual asset goes down or the virtual network goes down? What if anything happens to the physical asset? Then who is liable for what? So all these factors will come in. There are legal implications that will come into this particular asset class. So providing a better understanding to the common man in terms of what they are buying, how they are buying, and whether it is legal in nature, it will help the industry to thrive to the best. So as long as there is ambiguity, as long as there is doubt whether I can initiate this process or not, or whether I can jump into this particular technology or not, this will put us into the backstage. And especially sectors like tourism, the painting, all these can be explored very extensively, and we can have a large amount of funding coming into this particular sector. As I said, 1 billion just crossed in the last couple of months' time. Why not we bring in these kind of funding to the Rajasthan Tourism Board, or whichever the region that we want to promote? So that's the capability of this. So unless and until the regulators comes up and regulates these asset classes in a free flowing, I should say, development of this technology will be restricted. So definitely this is very, very important for the regulators to understand the technology and come up with a mechanism to make sure that this is effective in place. So from our part, exchanges like us, technology entities like us, so we are doing whatever that is possible to help the ecosystem. For example, the Belfrics blockchain that we are, which is our core technology that what we use. We use this particular technology to identify the people behind the transaction. So that is one of the most important part over here. So if you identify that who are the people who are creating the NFTs and who are the people who are selling and buying the NFTs, that gives a pretty good level of understanding of where the money is being moved. So this we are already addressing using our blockchain, and the smart contract that what we are talking about across the blockchain. So the primary requirement for that to come into the real world will be to identify man and machine. So through our blockchain, we are doing this, but from the government side also, if they come up with a regulatory process for identifying these, that becomes much, much easier for everybody within the ecosystem.
Great. Satish, one last question before we head on to a couple of questions what people have asked for us. How is Well NFT different than other NFTs which are coming in?
Okay, so basically the other NFTs which is already prevailing in the market are creating digital assets, and very few are actually converting the physical asset to a digital asset. But when it comes to Bell NFT, all our NFTs will have a physical presence, and the same will be converted to a digital asset with all sorts of metadata and everything. So the authenticity is there. There's some kind of visibility, tangibility, like what Praveen said, and as well as the intangible digital asset which is there. So that is our core, and that is the USP in terms of Bell NFT.
In fact, just to add up to that, Pujan, we recently signed up one project with the football club, right? So there, we will be actually converting the players into NFTs. So these are all tangible assets, which can be, a value creating products for the future, which will be shared among the token holders. So we will be predominantly using the platform for tangible assets, which definitely will be needed for the real world scenarios.
So I think combination of what you both said, I think Mr. Sanjay, this is more exciting because when we have tangible assets getting converted into NFTs, it feels like real for everyone who's looking at it into it,
Sure,
and
it's
not just a digital imaginary structure in their head.
I agree, and it looks very exciting. But as he said, Praveenji said, we should be very careful about the regulatory framework also, which should be revolving around all this, especially when some of the assets would be protected things and all those. So the regulatory framework is also equally important, and the legal dimensions which he was saying. So if a right combination of legal, regulatory, and the technology is used, I think that would be a great combination for building the right product.
Absolutely. So it will be very difficult to identify, ultimate combination, but at least we can start with a trial licenses or a sandbox license, a process, so that we can do a testing that can be provided, so that all, like the tourism board, us, and the regulator can see each other, how exactly this is panning out.
Exactly, that is the right way to move about it.
Yeah.
So I think what we can conclude is that it definitely can be a very good future in terms of technology and revenue, which is win-win for on both the ends. It's just that we have to take things at the right time before the world moves ahead of us. So
Absolutely.
I think
Pujan, just to add up over here, we are working on one project. I would not like to specify the project, but in the African region, wherein which we are converting the entire island into a metaverse island. So with such a huge heritage and such a huge culture that what we have, as Satish said, it's like endless opportunity that what we have. So how fast we are able to harness this, so that's what will make us completely different from other regions.
True. Okay, so I'll quickly get on to a couple of questions what were asked on Twitter base. The first question was, I think, a very generic one, stating, can anyone put their own product on NFTs?
Yeah, I can answer that. So yes, anyone will be able to put their their creations of the product on the NFTs, but it depends upon what is the purpose of that NFT. There are different types of NFTs that can come into picture. You can just create an artwork, or it could be the person himself, or any physical object. There are multiple processes are there. So archives can be converted into NFTs. So it depends upon what exactly you want to convert. So yes, there are multiple platforms available, common platforms available. NFT will be coming in, so wherein which you will be able to convert your assets into digital assets. But whether that is going to have a value or not, that the people will decide.
Okay, this one is an interesting question. Will Bell NFT consider the ultimate ownership, if any, be it the king or legal hires, apart from the government, for any places, if they're creating NFT, for example, of a castle or a palace or a tomb, etc.?
Okay, this also I can address. So see, creating an NFT out of a particular place or a monument, this will completely depend upon that particular government structure, and who is the one who is actually creating it. I cannot simply go and create an NFT of Eiffel Tower and sell it across, or Taj Mahal and sell it across, right? So legal implications will be there. So if we are allowed to do that one, then who is responsible to issue that particular NFT? Maybe it could be the archaeological department or the government of India, who will be responsible for creating that. So the ownership of that particular creation will have to come in. So there need to be a standard that will be coming in. So we need to identify that who is the one who's actually creating it. And then that value can be given to that particular NFT. Because see, one more process of NFT that will be very, very popular would be that, renting out of the NFT. So I might not be willing to sell the asset, but I might be willing to rent the digital, asset for some time, for a certain period, for you to utilize it. So this is also going to be very, very popular and famous. So identifying those creators are very, very important. So legal aspect should come in.
Yeah. Also, Pujan, just to add to Praveen, we also have the decentralized application. So when it comes to the governments or when it comes to, these royal houses, we will be giving them a decentralized application where they could upload all their assets, and there is some kind of a verification method from the respective people, and only then, we take these kind of NFTs into our exchange. So that is a difference, and yet another difference in USP compared to the other existing NFT platforms.
Great. So I think we are done with the questions. If we can have a closing statement by each of you on your final take about NFTs, the future of Indian tourism, what would it be? We can start with Satish.
Yes. So having seen the art industry, even you just take the art industry at about $12.3 billion as a market size. By 2030, if we could even get 20% of these artworks into NFTs, so it is 20% of $12.3 billion. So this is the kind of opportunities that we have just with art, and the same numbers go with the sports, goes with different kind of NFTs. It could be an image, music, audio, or anything. So this is a big industry which is not only going to generate money, which is also going to generate huge employment. So, Bell NFTs and products like us is going to be the future of the digital world.
Nice. Mr. Praveen, your take on this?
See, if we are able to enhance the tourism for whether it's Rajasthan region or whichever region for India through our effort from a technological innovation process, we will be more than grateful for that. And along with that, the products that what we will be coming up with for the Indian market will definitely be revolutionary in nature. And I'm very, very keenly looking forward to collaborate with the government agencies and also multiple other corporate houses within India, which includes the media houses, the sports fraternity, and the art and cultural organizations. Along with the product, we would like to contribute for the funding process. So as and when the regulatory process are in place, we are looking at raising huge amount of capital to all these sectors, which will enhance both our culture and the entire ecosystem into a different level. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Sanjay Pande, what about you? I mean, the last part about the whole capital thing must have actually excited the whole of tourism sector right now.
Capital, you see, capital or revenues are a byproduct. So from a larger perspective, if we see the kind of technology that we have discussed today, it opens entirely a new world. That is very important. And in that world, the new world, we call meta world or by whatever name. So in that new world, this is certainly at the moment not so well known in the right circles. So what we need to is, in addition to developing the products and the related things, we need to make some progress in informing, educating, or what we say is IEC about this whole product also, so that once the actual products are ready, so the acceptability is very fast. But without doubt, this is the very exciting thing. And to me, it appears that this is the final thing that we needed to push India tourism and, of course, my state tourism to great heights also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think, now with this conversation, let's hope for the revolution, what we are looking at in the whole tourism sector, specifically adding to other sectors, what Satish mentioned earlier. And thank you all for this time and discussion. See you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.